Hi, I've never made a internet video before, so excuse me if this is a little rough. I'm making this video to address the recent comments by Bill Nye that teaching creation to children will damage their minds and basically make them stupid. Instead of arguing about what he specifically said, I'm rather going to discuss why it, in actuality, is the teaching of evolution, not creation, that is making children and adults alike dumber and more foolish these days. Now, I mean no disrespect to Bill Nye in this video, so that needs to be said up front. This is also not a scientific refutation of evolution. First off, before we get started, it needs to be stated that macroevolution cannot be proven. Not that it is not proven, but it cannot be proven, because it deals with historical science that is unrepeatable and unobservable in the present. It is a theory at best, and it will always remain a theory, because it is impossible, no matter how much evidence one claims to have, to prove macroevolution, since it deals with historical science. Now, natural selection is the mechanism that naturalists argue drives evolution. There are several problems with this, though. Selection requires an actually existing entity that possesses the power to select. Now, nature is not an entity. It is a non-entity. It does not possess any power whatsoever, including the power to select anything. Nature is simply a word that is used to describe the reality that we live in. It is not something that exists in and of itself. Evolutionists tend to romanticize nature into something that is alive and possesses attributes and powers on its own. But that is absurd and clearly untrue. One would have to posit pantheism, the belief that everything, including nature, is God, for nature to work that way. And the naturalists surely do not wish to posit pantheism, for they are necessarily atheists, as naturalism assumes atheism to be true. There are also fundamental problems with pantheism, but that is another topic for another time. The bottom line here is that nature is not an actually existing entity, and therefore it does not possess any powers or attributes, including the ability to select anything, no matter what that anything consists of. Hence, the concept of natural selection is incoherent and therefore unintelligible, no matter how the evolutionists claim that it works. Now, it is impossible to assent intellectually to and therefore truly accept something that we do not understand. We cannot accept what we do not understand, because that which we do not understand is unintelligible to us, and that which is unintelligible is unknowable and ultimately unacceptable to the mind, to the extent that it is unacceptable, no matter how much we want to believe it. And since evolution is incoherent, and therefore impossible to understand at its most basic level, namely at the level of the very mechanism that supposedly drives the whole process, natural selection, evolution is fundamentally unknowable and unacceptable to the mind. Therefore, anyone who teaches evolution to anyone, whether they be children or adults, they are trying to get those people to accept, understand, and agree with something that is impossible to accept or understand, because it is fundamentally incoherent. And if we agree with something that is fundamentally incoherent, does that make us smarter or dumber? I think the answer here is obvious. It certainly makes us foolish at best and downright stupid at worst. So, while there are many valid philosophical arguments and scientific evidences that attest to the likelihood of the reality of creation, naturalistic evolution, on the other hand, is completely flawed at its most basic level, and therefore it should be rejected and not taught to anyone at all, for to do so would only lead to more idiocy and stupefaction. Thank you.